Hello my friends, today I wanted to walk you through my updated 2022 luxury wish list. Basically share with you some pieces that I am 99.9% certain that I will actually add to my collection. These are not just pieces that I'm toying with the idea of, but ones that I am extremely tempted by. And then I also wanted to take a couple of minutes to share with you some new luxury shopping habits that I'm working on building, because one of my goals for 2022 was to become a more conscious, more responsible luxury shopper, I guess we could say, which doesn't mean that I'm going to stop doing luxury unboxings altogether. But you might have noticed that I haven't done one in a little while. So if you'd like to find out why that is, and then to completely contradict myself, what new pieces I would like to bring home with me later this year, then please be sure to give this video a thumbs up and keep on watching. So you might have noticed that I haven't done an unboxing in a couple of months, so I guess it's not like it's been years, but it has been a little while, especially for YouTube, which I wanted my unboxings to go on the back burner for a little bit for a couple of reasons. Number one is because there was a point in time when I felt like I was doing unboxings back to back, which there's nothing wrong with, but I felt like I didn't really have the chance to get to know and enjoy my pieces, because as soon as I unboxed something, I immediately moved on to the next new thing or moved on to thinking about what's going to be next. So I wanted to just take a second to enjoy and get to know my new pieces, which it doesn't mean that I didn't buy anything. I wish I hadn't, but I did buy some new things which you'll see in an upcoming unboxing. So as I said, I'm not going to stop doing haul videos, but I wanted to take a little bit of a break from them, and that's why you haven't seen one from me in a little while. And I want to slightly tweak the kind of unboxings I do. Whenever I film an unboxing, I feel like I'm just showing you stuff, and I feel like I've never been a reckless luxury consumer, but I want to make sure that when I show you something, I'm able to add value to your life, because you take time out of your day to hang out with me, and I really appreciate that. So I want to make sure that whenever I show you something, I'm not just showing you something for the sake of it. I want to explain to you why I bought that piece, how it would fill a gap in my collection, what was my reasoning behind my purchase. So I am planning on slightly tweaking my unboxings. They are not going anywhere, but I want to make them a little bit more obviously fun and entertaining, but also informative, especially because I feel like I have been struggling to find new pieces that are inspiring, and I would love to know if you feel like you're in the same boat. But I've been feeling that a lot of our favorite brands like Dior and Hermes have been stuck in a rut. Do you feel the same way? It's been at least a couple of seasons since the last time I saw something that was genuinely jaw-dropping and kind of out of the box. Most brands, even the ones that we love, I feel like have been doing the same thing season after season after season. And it's not like they're reiterating the same design, they're just basically reproducing things that they did last season. So I have kind of been feeling uninspired, and I would love to hear in the comment section if you feel the same way, which kind of meant that I have been turning to some newer brands that previously were not on my radar, some of which are up and coming brands, and others are really well established brands that I'm sure you're familiar with, but I personally hadn't bought into before. So let me know if you'd like to see a video on some of these brands that I have been exploring. I would love to do a video for you. I don't know if that's something you'd be interested in, but if you are, just make sure to give this video a thumbs up. But anyway, now that I have talked your ear off on how I'm trying to become a more conscious luxury consumer, let's move on to the pieces that I'm still planning on buying this year. And I actually did my luxury wish list slightly differently this year. So what I did is I compiled a list as I did in previous years, but instead of sitting down and immediately sharing it with you, I actually left it on my phone untouched until just before I sat down to film. I went through the list again and made sure that each and every single piece still has a place in my collection. And these are the pieces that we ended up with. So without further ado, let's get into them. I have the list on my phone, and why don't we start with a bag, and then we can also end on another bag. And the first bag that I have on my wish list is actually a bag from The Row, which is a brand that I'm slowly but surely getting into. I have purchased a couple of things from The Row over the years, and even though their pieces are insanely expensive, in some cases maybe even overpriced, the pieces that I own from them are some of my most worn pieces of all time. So I have a lot of confidence in this brand. And the first bag that I'm eyeing, well, actually the second, because I have just bought a bag from The Row, which you'll see me unbox next week. But the second bag that I would like to buy from them is their so-called Margot bag in size 17. So the Margot bag was one of the first bag launches by The Row. It's an incredibly timeless classic shape. It's a top handle bag that I feel like is almost the merge of something like a Birkin and then an old school doctor's bag. That's the kind of shape and idea. At least that's what I think of when I see the Margot bag. And if you love the Birkin but you always felt that it was a little bit too in your face, dare I even say maybe a little bit too overdone for you, this might be a great bag to look into because it is a similar user experience. And I have looked at this bag a handful of times over the years, but I never found a size that I felt would have worked for me, even though I loved the idea, I loved the concept, I loved the way these bags felt. I never found a size that I felt would have worked with my proportions, and also because these bags are quite pricey, I just thought that at the end of the day, I might as well get myself another Birkin instead of buying a bag from The Row. But it seems like that this is a brand that has stood the test of time. It has been around for quite a while, and I really don't see myself buying another Birkin anytime soon. I'm looking for something that is a little bit more understated and a little bit more simplistic, and I feel like this would be a great one to go for. Now we'll see how the quality is and how it holds up if and when I get the chance to actually see this bag again for myself in person. I really don't think that there are too many retailers that carry this bag in the largest 17 size, which obviously refers to the measurements of the bag. So this is called the Margot 17 because it measures 17 inches, which I guess would be somewhere roughly around maybe 40 centimeters, but I don't think it is quite as large as a Birkin 40 would be. And I'm really hoping that it's not that heavy because you guys know I've been there, I've done that, and it did not work out for me with the Birkin 40s. But I feel like because it has slightly different proportions and the handles themselves are longer, I think it's going to be a fun bag to try in this size. Now it does come both in regular leather and in suede, and you probably guessed it, I'm going to opt for the suede version. Sticking with The Row, there is one more piece that I am eyeing, which is their so-called Marie sneaker, which is their take on a pair of really simple slip-on skater shoes, I guess we could call them, which have been some of my favorite styles. One of my most used and most worn sneakers of all time are my Celine skater sneakers, which I have a couple of, and at this point I just need to get rid of them because they are genuinely falling apart, but I don't have the heart to throw them out because I love them so much. And Celine has been teasing that they would bring them back at some point, but they haven't done so. I was told that they'll bring them back at the end of 2021. Obviously that never happened. They did a pair of slip-on sneakers for men, I want to say last year, but they were far from the original design. If anything, they're closer to a pair of Vans than my beloved Celine sneakers. But anyway, I just need to find a new take on them because the ones that I own are fraying, they're ripped, they're falling apart, and it's just not a pretty look. But I cannot get rid of them because I love and wear them so much. So I thought I would try the Row sneakers, which they do in two different finishes. They do them in suede and in canvas, and as beautiful as suede is, I have a suspicion that it probably wouldn't be the longest lasting, so I'm leaning towards getting the canvas version in, believe it or not, black. So I'll let you know which one I land on, but for now, I'm definitely leaning towards getting the black canvas Marie sneakers from the roll. And one more pair of sneakers before we move on to ready-to-wear jewelry and the bag is actually a pair of sneakers from the new Celine. Let's just call it what it is, the new Heidi Celine, because Celine is not what it used to be, but they have been doing these low top sneakers both in a low top and a high top version for a couple of seasons, and even though I loved the way they looked, I was really loyal to my Hermes Avantage sneakers, which they seem to be putting on pause. I've been waiting for Hermes to launch them in a new colorway, in a new finish, or even just to restock them in the full size range, which they haven't done. I'm really hoping that it doesn't mean that they're getting discontinued, because they might be my most favorite traditional sneakers of all time. They're just so incredibly comfortable, they're flattering, they go with anything and everything. They are so easy to dress up or dress down. They are just a no-brainer. But my store has been out of stock of most sizes for at least a season. I have not seen them pop up on the website in any new colors and any new finishes, so I'm hoping that they're putting them on hold for the fall winter season, and then they'll bring them back for spring summer. Fingers crossed that's what's happening. But in the meantime, I do have to buy a new pair of white sneakers just because I go through them so often. And I'm thinking about getting the Celine version, which I really like. I wish it didn't have the branding on the back, because I would buy them in white and then the branding is in black, so it's quite in your face and shocking. So I kind of wish that the branding was at least tone on tone, or if it wasn't even there. But this is a pair that I am eyeing for the new season. And then when it comes to non-designer sneakers, there is a new brand that I discovered, which I can't remember. I think it might be called Veja. I think that's how you pronounce them. Anyway, I'll link them down below. They do have some more simplistic, more sort of minimalist sneakers that do come in similar shapes to the Celine low tops. So I might pick up both of those, but as I said, I'm trying to become a more conscious consumer. So I think I'm going to give the Celine ones a try first, and we'll see how they work out. So let's just wait for Hermes to come to their senses and bring the Avantage back into production. But in the meantime, the Celine low top sneakers might be something that you do want to look into. Moving on to one of my favorite brands, which of course is Dior. Dior has to be one of my most favorite brands for ready to wear, even though I feel like, again, as I said previously, they are getting a little bit redundant. I feel like they've been doing the same shapes and the same ideas for a couple of seasons now, so there weren't that many pieces that caught my attention from the current fall winter collection, other than these two, which I don't want to say I pre-ordered, I just expressed my interest for, but I haven't actually paid for them. So I was promised that whenever they come in, they'll let me know. One of which is going to be their new men's take on the iconic bar jacket, which I'm sure you're familiar with the bar jacket if you're into luxury fashion. It's one of the most iconic luxury pieces, which I have tried several times over the years, and it unfortunately doesn't work for me, and it shouldn't, because the whole idea behind the bar jacket is that it was perfectly cut, tailored, and designed to hug the female shape, which clearly is not going to work for me. But if it works for you, it is divine. I feel like that is one of those pieces that will last not only a lifetime in your collection, but several lifetimes. It's definitely something that you can pass down to generations to come. But as I said, it's not something that ever worked for me. But thankfully, Kim Jones is introducing a similar idea for men for the current season, which I'm intrigued by. I have to go and see it for myself in person, because I think it's either going to be a huge hit or it's going to be a major miss. It's one of those pieces that you'll put on and it will either make you look super confident, comfortable, and incredibly stylish, or it will make you feel like you're wearing a potato sack. We'll see which way it goes. I'm not exactly sure, but of course, I will bring you guys along. And last but not least, you probably won't be surprised to hear that I have a few pieces on my wish list from Hermes. I did not include any ready to wear because I actually pre-ordered some pieces last season from Hermes, all of which got cancelled. So I didn't include any ready to wear here. I'll just wait to see what comes in, and if I find something that stands out to me, I'll buy it. And if nothing comes in, I just won't buy anything. But there are some pieces that I am considering, and this first one, even though I included it here, it's something that I'm pretty sure I'm not going to be buying just because of the color that it comes in, but I still wanted to include it here in case it's something that goes with your personal aesthetic, because I have to admit it is adorable, which is the new Hermes, I think it's called the Cavaletti Doghouse, which is basically this mini tent for your pups. Now, my issue with this dog tent isn't really the aesthetic, it's not really even the price, it's more like the color palette that it comes in, because it's basically made up of every single primary color out there. So it has some red, it has some blue, it has some yellow, it has pretty much all the colors of the rainbow going on. And even though the tent itself is reversible, so you can make it look a little bit more neutral, the rods that make up the frame are actually inspired by jumping obstacles, which obviously are known for being colorful. So that is just the name of the game when it comes to this particular piece, and it's not something that would go with the aesthetic of my home and my color palette. But especially if you have a smaller dog, because this is something that only comes in one size and you enjoy a pop of color in your home, this is definitely something that you want to look into, because I don't think it gets any more adorable than this. And speaking of adorable, there is a new kid on the block when it comes to Hermes fine jewelry, and you guys know by now how much love and appreciation I have for Hermes fine jewelry. I think it's one of their most underrated métiers, and I think Hermes fine jewelry might be one of the most underappreciated fine jewelry brands. I think the quality, the design, the colors, the kind of pop that these pieces add to your collection is unmatched, especially for the price, because I find Hermes jewelry to be really reasonably priced in the grand scheme of things compared to brands like Cartier, Van Cleef. What these pieces add to your collection, I think they are really, really reasonably priced. And there is a new range which is called the Clou de Forge range, which I'm pretty sure I just mispronounced. But anyway, it's a new line that's inspired by the hardwares that Hermes uses on their saddles and equestrian pieces, which consists of necklaces, earrings, and of course a ring, which I've had the chance to try on, and I was so impressed by not only the quality and the weight of this piece, but the simplicity of the design. Yes, it looks really simple, but when you get a chance to see it in person, you can see all the little details and the attention that has gone into the making of this piece. So I'm really, really tempted by the ring, but I did promise myself that I'm not going to be buying any more rings. So I'm kind of going back and forth between getting the ring or the pendant. Last but most certainly not least, can you guys guess, well, what's the bag that I would like to hunt down from Hermes this year? There is one bag that I would love to still add to my collection in 2022, which I feel like is not going to be a surprise. It is another Constance 18 in black, just like my box Constance 18, but this time in Epsom, and I would love to pick it up in either gold, permabrass, or I might even be open to getting it with palladium hardware, just because I have been loving my Constance in box so much. I feel like I would love to add another one to my collection. Black is obviously my favorite color, and I feel like an Epsom bag would add a completely different facet to my collection than box did. I find that box is a little bit more refined, a little bit more classic, whereas Epsom could potentially be a little bit more casual. Now, this doesn't mean that I never dress my Constance in box down, but I feel like Epsom would look slightly different just because by nature the leather is a lot more matte. So I guess I could pick it up in palladium and that would make it a completely different bag. But you guys know how much I love the combination of black with gold, so I really wouldn't be against getting another bag in the same color with the same hardware, but in a different leather. So A black Constance 18 is another thing that I would love to pick up. Would I be open to color if I got offered another Constance 18 in a color? I'm not sure. I feel like just because I know myself so well, I know what pieces I reach for. I know that if I have a bag in black, I'll never really reach for the same bag but in a color. So I think I would love to pick it up in Epsom in black with really any one of the hardwares that Hermes has as an option. My friends, this actually brings us to the end of my wish list. I hope you guys enjoyed this and you got some ideas on what pieces you could potentially put onto your own wish list, but I would love to know what's already on yours. Please let me know in the comment section what pieces you're currently hunting for. I love being inspired by you. And then also let me know your thoughts on my new shopping habits that I am trying to build. Are you in the same boat? Are you uninspired by most brands, or you feel like they are having the best season ever? I cannot wait to hear your thoughts. And while you're down there, make sure to give this video a thumbs up, and if you have not, subscribe down below, especially because the next video you will see from me is going to be an unboxing that you don't want to miss. But thank you so much for being here and watching. I appreciate you as always, and I hope to see you back here with a new video next week. But for now, bye.